You guys too. Thank you for inviting me to your show. I think it's a wonderful show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you about this. I did a show probably about 5 months ago, and Sedona. There was quite a bit of people there, and I was thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't talk about this because it's so close to the election, and people get so mad when you talk about one person but not the other. But I had to start. So because I got a couple of texts after that saying that what I was talking about was fear mongering. I didn't know what fear mongering meant, but then I looked it up, and then so the guy and the lady texted me back about a month ago saying that they were so sorry that they had wrote that about me talking about fear mongering, because what I was talking about is exactly what's going on now. You know, about the this person. You know, I guess I could say his name. I don't know why not, but you know, it's about Trump actually.
So real quick, I just got several more emails. People were asking me about these webinars. We have these free webinars coming up, folks, and you definitely want to get on the invite list if you're looking for ways to make a multitude of income streams and how to turn your passion into profit. Send me an email, leakproject@gmail.com. I'll get you on the invite list, or you can send me a text, 970-616-5677. Jay Matta, founder of Gnostic TV, and myself will show you the latest numbers and trends in today's markets. I think it'll definitely be worth your time to join the conversation, and let's get back to the presentation right now.
Mm-hmm. And what happened there was in the 1930s, this is the one that I've been telling you about, but we haven't really talked too much about it. But in the 1930s, the elders from the 9 Kivas, the ones that I belong to, and they brought me into initiated me into these nine clans, different clans, so we would talk about different things. And it was so important for them to get this message out, because we have been trying to do it through United Nations, but they went ahead and invited people from the government, and also even a person from Germany came. You know, when they were having the World War II was going on, they came to our home to hear what we had to say. It was important to them, and regardless of who they are, you know, they were welcome to come because it was important for them to also hear what we had to say at that time. This was 1935. I'm not really sure the date. It's on the paperwork. And when we sat down, we talked to they sit down and talked to these people. I wasn't alive then, but I've been told this, and I have all the paperwork that goes with all this, and it was put away for quite a long time. Once it was done, there was 3 copies made, and 2 copies. One went to the Smithsonian Institute. The other one went to Denver, to the Denver Vault, the mint up there, where it was locked away, and the one that our people had put away. And I asked my dad, said, you know, it's time that you need to talk about this. I'm going to get those paperwork back. And sure enough, he did. In 1996, he went down to the Heard Museum, and he asked them to contact the people up in Denver, Colorado, because they're all, you know, involved with each other. You know, back then it was just it wasn't really the Heard Museum. It was the people that own the Heard Museum that started this whole thing. A man and a lady, they're very rich people. They, you know, they went around traveling from place to place, collecting different things. That's how they got in contact with all this stuff. It's a wonderful story, you know, about these people. Yeah. And anyway, they got the paper. The papers came back in an envelope for me in 1997. 1997, I got all the paperwork back, and they were actually the original ones. The only way that the original ones were made was there was a seal that was back when they made a water seal. I didn't even know they made them back then, but it has a water seal inside the paper where you have to hold the paper up, and that's the only way you can see the seal. If you don't know where it's at, you would never know it was there, you know?
Okay.
Those are the ones that I got back. And I started reading those, and I was really surprised because they were talking about a man that was going to come in this time period, this year, these time periods for the last 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about what was going to happen to our children, what was going to happen to our food. We weren't going to be able to grow things anymore because we don't know how. The people who harvest this stuff won't be able to come because they don't want these type of people in this country. And all this stuff about what's happening now, about the nuclear war is going to happen. They called it the A-bomb. Back then, they didn't call it what they are now, but it's the H-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about that in there and what was going to happen and where they were going to drop the first ones at, which were in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about that before that happened. And so I kept reading these papers and then I put them away because who am I going to tell? All the elders, by the time I got back, there was only 2 of them left. And they died, my dad, and there was 9 of us. Now it's just me. I'm the only one left. And so in 1972, one of the nephews of one of the 9 elders also had them come in and record what the 2 elders had to say left about this message that they put out. So back then they had like old cameras, but it was videotaped, and somebody redid it to make it you can understand it better,
Mm-hmm.
And he tells about the same thing that I'm telling you now about what they talked about in 1935 or 35, 32, I'm not sure, that what was going to happen. And this, at the time, then, that's when we were going to the United Nations. We had gotten invited to go to the United Nations, and the United Nations had the understanding that we were going to talk about farming and talk about taking our coal and our gas and electricity and all that. That's what they really wanted us there for, to try to trick us into signing these papers to give them the rights to do that. And the elders didn't sign anything, so they got angry. But what we wanted to do was we started telling them about what was going to happen. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear about the H-bomb. They didn't want to hear about the man that's coming. The man that was coming, that was going to do all this to us, wore a red hat, and he had a red cape that he wore underneath it, but he had a red hat, blonde hair. He had blonde hair. It has all the things about him and how he was going to destroy us people that were not like him, his color and the way he thought and all this, He was talking about like Adolf Hitler, like how he act. That's how he was going to do our country, like that, like what's going on right now. So when we started talking, you can see some of this, and we started trying to talk to you because it's recorded on the United Nations. They have tapes, and they took us off, and then they put somebody else in, and then they said, "Well, we're going to get back to you." So the Hopi people stayed there all day till they did a couple of days, and then at the end, when everybody was leaving, they have all those people in there. There were a lot of people left by then. A lot of I don't know what they're called, but all the people that go in there and sit there and listen to all the things. And so you can see that when they get up to go talk, that they kept cutting them off. And then they spoke in Hopi and they spoke in English. And they had an interpreter also to make sure that we weren't saying anything that they didn't want to hear, that they didn't want the people to hear and understand. So right at the end, they gave us 15 minutes to explain all this to the whole country. 15 minutes and he even says on there, if you watch the recording, that why did we sit there and wait all day for the government to give us 15 minutes of their time, 15 minutes to explain all this. So they wanted us to leave the papers there the papers that we had brought, about all this that's going on and what they had said in 1935, which was one of those papers that I have the original one, and there's two other ones out there, which the Smithsonian has one of them, and they're saying that they lost it. That's okay, because I have the original anyway. They have one too, with the watermark in it, and the other one was from Denver, the one that I got back, and the other one, I don't know where it's at. Okay, they won't say. So I was kind of afraid to start talking about that, because government don't want you to say things. They know how to shut you down real easy, real quick, but I don't care. It needs to be told. And so the next day they said they wanted to speak again. So the United Nations says, okay, well, we have a little bit of room at the end. You can go ahead and speak. So the two Hopis went up there to the podium. If you watch the video, you can see this. And then another man came in, the third man, the Hopi, one of the Hopi boys that was interpreting for the Hopi people. He came up and he started kind of getting into an argument with the people that they're not letting the elders speak. The reason why they were here was to speak. And they said, well, the reason they were here was to talk about water rights, electricity, coal mining, and all that, not about this. That's what the government didn't want us to talk about. They wanted to talk about, and for us to agree to sign these papers to give away all our rights. Because the Hopi people are the only people that haven't been bossed around, taken away from us. We're the only tribe like that. The Zuni were like that, but they went ahead and took away a lot of their rights too. That's why they're the way they are now, And the Navajos, they don't even own land. That land that they got there is assigned to them. They have to pay for that. It's not the Navajo reservation. It's allotments that they get. And that's why the Hopis got into arguments with the Navajos about the land. It wasn't that we wanted money. We wanted them to have our land to live on. The government says no, because if we do that, then they're going to get ahead of us. So no, we're going to boss these people around. We're going to give them this much land, and you get this much land. But it's not a reservation. It's allotments. There's a name for that. I don't know what it's called. That's what they live off now. They don't live off land that's theirs. They live off land that the government, the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, tricked everybody into doing it like that, so they can keep a track of the land, because that's how they had the Peabody coal mines. All the stuff was on that land, gas and everything. Because if they signed it to them, then what the Navajos and the Hopis would have had money, to live off of and stuff. We get nothing from nobody. Peabody never gave us anything for the coal that they stole from us, or in the water that they destroyed, and the lives that they ruined, And then when they got up and left a few years ago, they just packed up and left. They didn't clean the land. They didn't do anything. They just stole and left it wide open. So all the uranium came out and were killing the people nearby, for the uranium they were mining over there and everything. They just got up and left. And then that's why we got rid of the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, But a lot of people don't want to talk about it because it's a guaranteed job. They're the only ones that have jobs. They're the ones that works for the BIA or the government. Mm-hmm. We don't have, us regular people don't have jobs. We don't have no money. We made a living off our arts and crafts, And all this is stuff is still going on. There's some crazy stuff going on up there. But all this stuff is going on. So what I want to do is I want to show you these papers, and what they are saying, what we are saying, and how the government knew that this was the truth here. And so I got the papers here, and Bobby said he would record them, because also the videotape is very important, because it's telling exactly what I'm saying, except for it was made in 1972 and the papers came out in 1932 or 35. And I know a lot of people, there's been some people out there that try to help us, that went out there and say, why are the Hopis living like this? Why did you do this to them? Why this? And they just run them off. Not the Hopis, the government runs them off. But they don't want them to say anything about anything, And So before I kick the bucket, I really want to tell the truth about what really happened to us. Why we are the way we are now. We're really in a pinch right now. We try to do the best we can because back when we grew our own food, there was no stores. We grew our own food and we took care of ourselves. The First World War we consider was when the white man came. And when the government came, that was the First World War for the Hopi people. They're the ones who stole, took, and tried to do everything to demolish us. They even surrounded us. The Hopi reservation that's on now is surrounded by the Navajo people because the government owns that and gives them allotments. So they figured if they surround us and the Hopis are right in the middle, we can't cause any problems or we can't do anything. So let's just give the land to the Hopis, the Navajos who live in, and that's okay. I mean, they don't bother us. They never have. We used to grow corn together, and we survived with the Hopis. And then the government came in and started wars, started doing things to make us mad at each other, like they're doing now. What the government's doing to each other, And that's what they did, and that's the way it is right now. If you look at the map, you'll see that we are right in the middle of surrounded by all these tribes because we're the only ones that are not giving up. So the government said, well, we're just doing this way. We'll just shut them down and we'll steal their coal and uranium and gas and anything else we can get a hold of because they can't do anything because all the property now that surrounded the Hopis belongs to the government. It doesn't belong to the Navajos. It belongs to the government, So it's kind of messed up, and the youngsters don't know all this because history doesn't talk about this. There's this stuff in no books. There's things that people have wrote on their own, to try to help us, for the people to understand, but they don't want to listen. So that's what's going on with that. But I want to get that to you so you can see it. And those are very important papers. That needs to come out. Somebody needs to talk about that. Yeah.
What is up with this world? When did it get hijacked? Like, what the heck happened, man?
Yeah, that's what the Hopi said on there before even anybody talked about what happened. I mean, what's going to look at the children are without food, and they're going to be without food. They're going to be roaming the streets with no home, and people are bombing each other and fighting each other land. And us, we just got to run away and hide because we can't do anything. That's what they said. That's what this says about children, about drugs, about all this. How the government uses all this stuff against everybody, not just Hopi. Whatever they can do, and that's what they're doing now. You see that what's going on, and there's more to come. And they gave us a time limit which was supposed to be 7 years, and 3 years have gone by already. So 4 more years. And then it says in the paper what's going to happen to us, all of us at one time. There's safe places to go, which have been put away a long time ago, that nobody really talks about. Some people do, some people don't, but the truth is there, and I have those papers, and it's just very sad that I don't think I'll be here, but our children will. Our children will be here, and who's going to defend them if we're not here? They're going to look what they're doing to people now. They're putting them in camps, and when actually everybody here came from a different place. We didn't all come from wherever they think, but Mexico and the Indians, they're all the same. They came in, they took away all their lands, big wars and fighting, and now they want to lock them all up. And if you don't do the right thing, they want to lock you up. And now they're going around locking everybody up. Hundreds and thousands and millions of people are going to be locked up and take your children away and all this. I mean, it's terrible. This is what the Hopis talked about, and it's just, there's so much more to this that people don't know about. And, people say, oh, that's like fear mongering. It might be, but it would probably save your life, maybe, if people don't tell you, how are you going to know? How are you going to know what's going to happen to you, And hopefully nothing does, but the way it's going now, it sure is going to exactly what they say, exactly what the Hopi people say. And not just the Hopi people, there's a lot of other tribes too, that they've done all this to. Lots, and some of them speak up too, There's a petroglyph in Second Mesa that talks about this, where things are gonna, before they happen. And I think I told you about it. It's a petroglyph that they put up there a few thousand years ago, and it shows what they call the spark, the spark monster that those flashes. What it is it's a petroglyph of these big giant electric that carry electric across, the ones with the lakes. Mm-hmm. That petroglyph is about that. Before there was even electricity anywhere near us, they put that petroglyph down and showing. I have a little book that I drew about that, and then Ron, he made it into a story, and it talks about that petroglyph. It's more important than the other petroglyph that everybody talks about. The one next to that, and it tells about that is the story of where our downfall is going to start coming from, is the technology and electricity and these things that the government brings in, and they say we're giving you this, and they're not giving anything. They're getting ready to use this power, electricity, to mine and dig up stuff. They need the electricity there. They don't need to give us. They need it themselves. And the elders knew all this, and they wrote it down, and they wrote it down on stone. There it is, on stone. What they're going to do to us, in years that come. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened, and that petroglyph is still there. There's a lot of the petroglyphs, the stone writings, I call them, on the walls that talk about a lot of things that happened to us. And it's going to happen to us, And so a lot of them are about that. And there's so many different things that they've told us. It's too bad that when they were here, they didn't explain to it like I'm explaining to it now. It was explained to in Hopi, but that's the different way. The way you tell things in stories than you do write out and read them as a book. Like the elders would tell you a story, but what it is teaching you of things to come, or teaching you ways, because they didn't know. They didn't go to college or school to learn, well, this is going to happen like that. They did it in petroglyphs. This is what's going to happen. They weren't educated. They didn't go to college or schools to write it down, like letters and all that. They did it in petroglyphs, mm-hmm. and stuff like that. There's a lot of that are out there like that too, and they tell a lot of different things. And it's kind of sad that it took a long time to understand some of these, because people just didn't want to talk about them, some of the elders. So, you have to respect it, but it's time to start saying something, And I've noticed that a lot of the American Indians, they are starting to talk about things that were happening, And like, I love my people. I love my Hopi people, and things are happening to them. I wish that I could do something for them, but I'm just an old man now, Before I used to do a lot of things for my people, stick up for them and fight with them and all kinds of stuff. I can't do it no more. But the next generation is not the same as we grew up. It's a whole different world now, and it's going away. But maybe somehow some of it can be saved to where you can save your family, your children, your grandkids, things that are important to us as people.
What a blessing that we get to speak with Malava. Very nice man. What a wonderful heritage and history, and very unfortunate to hear about how the money funders have controlled civilizations for so long the way that they do. But jump on over to Views and Joy and check us out over on Patreon, and you can listen to the rest of this podcast in full on Patreon. And Malava and his son Bobby put up some great videos. They're going to be doing a lot more videos on Views and Joy, so make sure to subscribe on there. And have a beautiful day, everybody. Be the change you want to see. And you can listen to a lot of Malava's previous interviews with me on Patreon and LeakProject.com. Thank you.